Hi, and welcome to the 5 easy tips to naturally revive your metabolism. Yes, there are 5 really easy tips to revive your metabolism. No special foods, no special supplements. It's stuff that we all have available to us, and yet it sounds so easy that most women don't ever quite follow them. So I know that recently a lot of women have found that with everything going on, they've found a few extra pounds kind of coming on, and they're blaming it from that recent maybe snacking. It's because of all the stress that's going on, the comfort foods. It's been a long winter, and then we had to stay at home. And it's just been so stressful that what happens is stress really takes a toll on our metabolism. Yeah, it slows it way, way down. And so most women are finding that their metabolism has just really plummeted. And whenever our metabolism slows, that makes the weight go up. And so it's really important to figure out, how can we take and boost our metabolism and be able to overcome what's been going on? And I also want to make sure I share, because as I've been dealing with women over the past 30 years, most women don't really understand that once they reach 40, they lose a half a pound of muscle a year. Yeah, a half a pound. Miriam Nelson found that out through her research up at Tufts in the mid-90s. And she found that it's a missing link in women's fitness. And yet most women don't realize that you just naturally, once you reach 40, lose about a half a pound of muscle a year. So it adds up. Between the ages of 40 to 50, you lose 5 pounds. But the scary part is you decrease your metabolism by between 175 to 250 calories per day. So if you're eating basically the same at the age of 50 that you were eating when you were 40, that weight is just going to go up. And everybody blames it on menopause and all that sort of thing, but really it's that metabolism, because as you're losing muscle, your metabolism slows. Now, the other thing that most women also don't realize is that when you are following a diet, about 25 to 30% of the weight that's lost is lean muscle. Most women think, oh, I lost maybe a little bit of water weight, but it's fat. But that's not really the case. They've actually found various studies that 25 to 30% of the weight that's lost is lean muscle. So that means that if you've only lost 10 pounds, you actually have lost between 2.5 to 3 pounds of muscle, which right there, the diet decreased your metabolism by 100 to 150 calories a day. So it's almost impossible to be able to keep that weight off once you go off the diet. And so it's really going to be important that you discover how to revive that metabolism. Unfortunately, diets don't deal with metabolism. They're just trying to help people, especially women, lose weight and lose it as quick as possible. But it's so important to understand the easy things that you can do to just take and revive that metabolism. Hi, I'm Kathy Frost, and I'm a certified integrative and wellness life coach, and I've been a nutritionist with a large medical center, with a hospital. I've been the owner of 5 women-only fitness centers, and I totally understand women and weight and metabolism, all that. And so I am actually here to help you discover how you can revive your metabolism naturally. Yes, the naturally is the most important part. I've seen so many women lately that are using a coffee that's going to boost their metabolism, or they're using supplements, or they're, this or that. But actually, who can stay on those type of supplements forever? You actually can't. And so I want to just share with you the 5 simple steps to really rev that metabolism. And I know that you're going to say, wait a minute, these sound so simple. And yeah, they really kind of are. So I encourage you to start trying them, because it's important to realize that you can do it naturally. And when you do it naturally, you can keep it boosted. So the very first thing is proper hydration. Proper hydration. It sounds so simple, but it's actually one of the most important things you can do. And yet it's the most underrated and usually underdone by most women. So when your metabolism is not hydrated properly, it drops. It really does. It's going to slow. Our body, it has to be balanced with so much water, because we basically have a lot of water in our system. And if we aren't properly hydrated, right away it slows our metabolism down. So there's the big question. How much do you need? Well, actually you need about half of your weight in ounces of water. So say if you weighed 150 pounds, you need 75 ounces of water. Now, most women I work with find it hard to get to 64, let alone a lot more than that. But actually, 64 only is going to be enough if you weigh 128 pounds. So it's also important to realize that coffee and tea, they don't count towards your water. So it needs to be water. And actually, it shouldn't have artificial flavors in it, because artificial sweeteners tend to make your body a little bit more insulin resistant. So that's a whole story for another day. We can go into that some other time about, maybe choosing. I have a guide to determine how you want to, maybe those foods you might want to think about not overdoing them. But that's another day. So what I encourage women to do is you need to start your day with water. Yes, first thing in the morning. And what I have found is that most women will say, wait a minute, I have to have my coffee first. But when you try it for about 5 days in a row first, you're going to find that, wow, you actually have more energy. And you're going to find that when you wake up, that's what you want first thing in the morning. So before you have your coffee, have a glass of water. I don't care if it's hot. I don't care if it's cold. Yes, a lot of times I like mine warm, and I like to put juice of half of a lemon in it, but it doesn't have to be. You just need to have that water. And then after you've had the water, have your coffee. But about every 2 hours, you need to take and have more water. And there again, it's hard to figure out, it's hard to remember, especially when you're starting out, to try and increase it more. So think about just setting your alarm for every 2 hours. The good news is, if you're working at a desk, it also means that you have to get up and have a few more steps. And then the key is, make sure before your meals, drink a glass of water. Because it's actually been totally found that when you have water before your meal, you will eat less during that meal and you will lose weight. It's awesome. And it has to do with, not because the water is so filling, because in a way it kind of is, but our hunger hormone ghrelin, that's what makes your stomach growl, which makes you think you're hungry, also has influence on your hydration. So a lot of times when your stomach's growling, really what it's trying to say is, hey, I need water. But we think of it as hunger, not as hydration. So when you think of your stomach growling, the first thing by right we need to do, have some water. And at the bottom of this note, I also put cold is best, because they know that if you have a little bit of cold water, not a little, maybe a whole glass, it actually has to use a few of your body calories to heat it up to body temperature. So there again, studies have found that if you're going to drink water, if you're drinking it cold, it'll help boost your metabolism a little bit more. Then tip number two is eat more protein. Okay, eat more protein. because it's important to realize that not all calories are digested the same. Okay, I've also run into recently a lot of women, and they're all into trying to create calorie deficit. Well, unfortunately, that's really old school, because all of the newest research shows that not all calories are handled the same way. We have a thing called the TEF of food, the thermic effect of food. And what we know is that it takes more calories to digest protein than it does to digest carbs or fats. So not all calories are the same. So if you've been in that mindset about worrying about counting calories, I hate to tell you, it's time to think about changing, because actually it's not going to work. And especially it's not going to work for the long run, because eventually your metabolism is going to slow lower than your minimal amount of daily calories. And I know that from working with women for years. So a lot of the stuff that people are trying now, it's just, I want to say, repackaged of an old type of a thing. So what we do know with protein is that protein not only takes longer to digest, but because it does, it's going to make you feel full longer. It also helps you shed a few pounds. But notice the last one. It's great for trying to shed more belly fat. It's really important, if you're trying to shed belly fat, that you're eating enough protein. But what I find is that women actually don't very often eat enough protein. You need to eat protein with every meal. That means breakfast, that means lunch, that means dinner. And notice, if you have a snack, you want to make sure it has some protein in it. Yes, if we can balance some protein in every time we eat, we will find that the weight just naturally will come down. So it's important to think about having a breakfast with, basically you need about 15 to 20 grams of protein. You want to have lunch that has plenty of protein. And honestly, a little thin slice of a deli meat on a half of a sandwich or a simple yogurt is not enough. So it's important to think about that. Now, that takes us right into tip number 3, don't skip meals. So like I said before, breakfast is really important, but it's important that it be eaten within the first 30 to 60 minutes that you're awake. Okay, it's important that you eat it so you can break the fast. Yes, if you take and wait until you get to work, chances are that's more about snack time. So it needs to be within that first hour that you're awake. And I also noted, make sure that you understand it needs to be about 15 to 20 grams of protein. So that means if you're having eggs, one egg only has about 6 grams of protein, so you need 3. Or you need to figure out how you're going to get there. So maybe it's a simple protein shakes, and there's a lot of good ones out there. But it's important to remember, a bagel with a hint of cream cheese, or even kind of a lot of cream cheese, you'd have to have a boatload of cream cheese if you're going to have that many grams of protein in it. So that takes us to lunch. And lunch really needs to be about the same size as your evening meal. Yeah, about the same size as your evening meal. Lunch is not necessarily a snack, but I see a lot of women using it like a snack. Now, that means that we need to have protein, we need to have lots of vegetables, we need to have a small amount of carbs. And notice on the bottom, don't undereat. Because like I said, when I've been working with so many women, they typically don't eat enough for lunch. Lunch is important, so make sure that you're eating enough protein for lunch. Then dinner, our evening meal, needs to be about the same size as lunch. not a lot bigger, and it doesn't have to have a lot of extra stuff added to it. I love to help women understand how to use planned overs. So in other words, when I cook for planned overs. If I'm making a meal, and there's just my husband and myself, I will make the meal for at least 4 or 6, because now I have 2 or 4 extra meals left over that can be used as lunches or dinner another time. Planned overs are great. And when they're planned over, it means that you're not going to run back to the fridge after dinner and snack a little bit more on whatever that you had because they were leftovers, because if you did, you're eating somebody's next meal. So planned overs can make your meal prep super simple. It cuts my meal prep time in half. Now, tip number 5 is plan a healthy afternoon snack. And a lot of women are like, no, I really don't think I should snack in the afternoon. But you know what? Actually, you really need to. You need to be able to keep your metabolism consistent throughout the whole day. You want your metabolism to be just having little dips and doodles, not the big ones. Sorry about that. And so between lunch and dinner, oftentimes it's a longer period of time. So when you have that afternoon snack, it's going to prevent you, when you already have it with you, it's going to prevent you from reaching into that salty or that sugary snack that a lot of times that afternoon slump causes you want to get. And so to avoid that slump and the reach for the sugary and the salty, take something good and healthy, a kind bar, the ones with the nuts in them and maybe a little bit of fruit. I happen to really like, there's a peanut one and dark chocolate, and a peanut butter and dark chocolate. Okay, that's my husband's favorite. But the one that I really like is a cashew and cherry. They're amazing. Taste like a lot better than a candy bar, and yet they have a great balance of the protein and the carb. So the other thing I encourage women to do in the middle of the afternoon is to have some green tea, because green tea will boost your metabolism. It's a proven fact. And so it also not only boosts your metabolism, but green tea is also tied to help aid in weight loss. So if you're thinking about you really would like to shed those few extra pounds, make sure in the middle of the afternoon you're having a nice cup or a cold glass, could be iced, of green tea. Just don't put the sugar in it, and please don't put the artificial sweeteners in it, because actually those can be detrimental. So tip number 5 is get your winks. So what does that mean? Well, it's so important to understand how sleep affects our metabolism. Actually, as women, we need to be sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night. And if we're not getting our sleep, it automatically slows our metabolism, because our bodies are wonderfully made. They're made to keep us alive. And if we're not doing the things that we can help but do the best, it'll just kind of change up so that it'll try and keep us as healthy as possible. So if we're not getting that at least 7 hours of sleep, it's going to slow our metabolism. And the important thing for women to know is that you can't make up for lost sleep. So I have a lot of women say, you know what, I'll catch up on the weekend. But there are a lot of studies out there that are showing that that's detrimental. On the weekend, maybe an hour, but you can't catch up a lot. And the weekend sleep your schedule needs to be about the same as your weekday schedule. You know, the only thing that they suggest, you could go to bed an hour later and get up an hour later, but you shouldn't, try and make up for a whole week's sleep. And when you do, because I have a lot of women that say, I don't have time to sleep 7 hours. But when you do, you actually are more productive when you're getting the proper amount of sleep. So those are the first 5. I am going to share with you as a bonus, once you accomplish the first 5, it's important to think about bonus number 6. This is the 6th thing, and I leave it to number 6 because the other ones actually are the first ones, they're the easiest ones, and they're most important. Because if you're doing 6, but you're not doing 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, this is not going to totally cover it. Although I know I find some women that think, well, if I work out, I'll get my metabolism up and I don't have to worry about the rest. But guess what? Doesn't really work that way. So the bonus tip for tonight is strengthening can be so important in boosting your metabolism. And by strengthening, I mean that we need to use some form of weight to help strengthen our muscles, okay? Some form of weight. So I encourage women first to start by using your own body weight. You don't need to go to a gym. You don't need to take and get a gym membership. I had 5 fitness centers, gyms. But actually, I know it's hard for women to be able to take that much time out of their day to get to a gym. So that's why I also know that you can do most of what you need to do in bits and pieces at home. So functional exercises are an amazing thing to do. Things like squats. You can do squats as you're sitting into your desk, in the chair of your desk. Sit down 5 or 10 times in a row. Do it slow, because by right when you're doing strength training, it needs to be low and slow. So do it slow. Or do planks. Planks are amazing for our core. Now, the reason I start with squats is because that uses your quads and your glutes and your hamstrings. Those are your largest muscles. You need to strengthen your largest muscles because that's what really burns those calories. And then I also, besides planks, which help the core, lunges are great, crunches are great. Now, don't do those old-fashioned sit-ups because, those went out the door too. But you want to just do simple crunches. Or just get some simple hand weights. And you can do tries and bis while you're sitting at your desk, maybe even on the phone. I do that a lot. Now, if you're wanting any more detail or a more detailed plan, I'm encouraging you to just join my Revive Your Metabolism 10-day challenge. Yes, in 10 simple days, you can actually boost your metabolism. You'll shed a few pounds, and on top of that, because you're doing the techniques that are going to boost that metabolism, you're going to also reduce fine lines. Now, it's easy. It only is one simple task a day. There's no special products, no special foods. You basically are going to be eating the foods that you enjoy, but what you're going to gain is much more energy and feel like your younger self again. You can have this boosted before Memorial Day. And by the way, start losing a few pounds before your Memorial Day. And when you start boosting your metabolism, you're going to find it so much easier to shed that extra weight because now your body is functioning at a higher ability. You're burning more calories, and it's so much easier to start shedding the pounds. So it's only a step-by-step, one change at a time, a day, and you're going to be surprising. Not only did I tell you about the fine lines, the shedding the pounds, and the energy, but the mental clarity that you will have. And of course, like I said, those fine lines and a few pounds. And you can enter summer feeling like your younger self again. Now, also, I just wanted to let you know, it's just $10. Yeah, $10. I put the link in by this live. You can go to click on it, or you can just go to reviveyourmetabolism.com. reviveyourmetabolism.com. Get signed up. We start tomorrow night at 5:30. So get signed up and you can get started and be down several pounds, have a lot more energy, and less fine lines and more mental clarity before Memorial Day. So thanks for joining me tonight. I'm Kathy Frost. I'm the founder of Forget Diets Forever and Eat, Lose, and Live. And I would love to answer any questions you may have. Just message me and I'd be more than happy, or I'd love to see you in our Revive Your Metabolism 10-day challenge. There is a couple extra minutes here. I think there's like 4. If anybody has a question, sometimes it's hard to see. I can see several of the people that are on. But anyway, if you didn't get your question answered, you can always message me. I appreciate you all for joining me tonight, and let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. I am here to help women understand that the traditional dieting doesn't work. It's important that we first learn how to boost our metabolism so then we can make peace with the food and start enjoying the foods we love and still create lasting weight loss. I hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day and have a great evening. I hope to see you inside the Revive Your Revive Your Metabolism 10-day challenge. Have a great night, gals. Bye-bye.